Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Sunday chat today. Yes, this is getting a habit, isn't it? What? I'm going to say hello then. Ooh, you're getting heavy. I'm going to say hello. Who's that up there? Elvis come to say hello. If he's outside and he comes in, he always comes in here to say hello if I'm out here. Doesn't stop. Doesn't settle down or anything, despite there being warm places to sit. But I think, like most cats, he doesn't like the sound of the fans and things, do you? Come on, you. Soppy cat. Sure. Cat fluff. Right. Stealing the show again. Fluffy Cat is hardly ever on camera nowadays because he's changed his habits. He comes down for breakfast when I get up in the morning, he goes back upstairs and he stays up there most of the day. He comes down sort of late afternoon and spends the evenings with me, whereas he goes upstairs. They don't get on that well. Well, not all the time anyway. Now, I'm not getting blooms and stuff into the video today because it's the 7th, which means it's the 8th tomorrow. But what I wanted to chat about, generally speaking, is it sparked off by I got into quite a lot of comment interaction on a channel that I watch. It's got nothing to do with orchids, it's a landscape photographer in actual fact. But he's been analysing how he got to where he is and what went wrong on the way. Now, he does it for a living. That's a different thing to me. Obviously, I don't do this for a living. I do this as a hobby. But it did spark some thoughts off. So I thought I'd have a chat around the word why. Why am I here now doing this? Why are you there watching it? Yeah, just around the subject, because some of what may come back from this in the comments could well be of use to me, because I can't say what your answers are going to be. Yeah, those are the unknowns. That's part of why I like doing YouTube. I tend to do my comments first thing in the morning when I get up, when I'm all bleary-eyed. While I'm having a couple of coffees and just sort of firing myself up for the day. And that's a good time to just sit quietly and do my computer stuff. So, this is usually about 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes earlier, and I just go through the comments. First thing I do is scroll down 1 or 2 videos behind the latest one, because I get what I call follow-up comments, where somebody's put a comment which may involve a question. And with me, if you ask a question, if I can, you will get an answer. You will get an answer that I can't give you an answer, but you'll get an answer. Yeah. That's the one thing that you can virtually guarantee on my channel. You will get a response to a comment, even if it's only a heart to say, I've read your comment, sort of thanks for putting it there. And it's an acknowledgement that it's been read. So it was worth putting it there. I've read it, I've seen it, thanks. These are great. But I go back a couple of videos because question, answer, follow-up question. Well, that could be a day or two after the original comment. If I don't go back and look, those would get ignored. That's not very fair, is it? So I go back a couple of videos. I also have problems where some people I'm not knocking it, go and watch an old video and ask a question. Yeah, I've got to go and watch the video now, haven't I? Because I don't know what the video was about from a year ago. Good job to remember a couple of days ago. But I'm willing to do it. I see it as part of this whole thing. If somebody was interested enough to watch that video and ask a question about it, I need to be interested enough to go and sort it out. So it is a two-way thing. And the one thing I have noticed is it seems that it's understandable, I suppose. I hope I don't end up like this. But as channels get bigger, the number of comments get less relative to the size of the channel. And I thought this seems odd. I had a look at some other orchid channels this time and looked at like number of subscribers and number of views, and you go down, you have a look at the number of comments, and they haven't necessarily got that many more than I would get. And so you have to ask why. If there's that many more people watching, I mean, I get an average of whatever, 1,000 views per video, although that seems to be going up a bit lately. Thank you again. But then you look at another video that's got 3,000 or 4,000 views, and it's got less comments than mine. And I thought, well, why is this? And I've worked it out. It's because they don't get responded to. Why don't they get responded to? Is it that the channel's now got so big that that person can't be bothered? I doubt it. Can you ever? I don't know, I suppose it could happen. I can't imagine me ever doing the video thing and then not bothering with the follow-up. It'd almost be pointless. I mean, I'm not in it for the money. At the sort of level we're talking about here, you can't earn a living out of it. Far from it. It's pocket money. It's about as far as I can say it goes. I mean, if you take one of the larger channels like Danny, I've worked out roughly how much she gets a month, and that would be complete supposition on the grounds that we all know that the income for the creators is based on the adverts that have been watched in full. Yeah? Well, obviously the more subscribers you've got, the more potential you've got for people watching your videos, but that's not true. That just isn't true. I've got 9,000 subscribers. I don't get 9,000 views on my videos. So there's an awful lot of people that are subscribed that are not watching. Now it could chop and change. It could be, well, this individual watched that video but didn't watch the next two, and then watched another one, and a different person didn't watch that one, and you see what I mean? You can't tell. There's no way of getting down to that level. But I've got a feeling that if people put comments and don't get any form of response or anything like that, they're going to stop commenting. Does that mean they're going to stop watching? That's a whole different subject. Then we get round to, I've brought my notebook with me, just there's a couple of pointers on there that I got from this photography guy. And it comes down to a couple of questions. Why do people stay with a channel? Why do they leave? You can't find out. Yeah? The people that stay are there. You know, I mean, I could say now, like, all you regular watchers, why do you stay here? Would your answers change anything? Probably not. However, those that have been here and left, if I could ask them why they left, I might be able to change something and stop it happening in the future. But I think with channels, people come and go. It's sort of a circular thing. I mean, I've wandered off of some channels and come back later for whatever reason. So why do people stay? I think part of it is that you know you're going to get an interaction. If you ask a question or leave a comment or like that, you're going to get something back from it. Yeah, and that brings us round to are the videos, is the channel of value to the people watching it? Now, I don't go to the cinema. I can watch it. I watch everything I want to watch at home nowadays, and I can stop and go and have a wee if I need to, or get some more peanuts or all those sort of things, you know. And I haven't got somebody talking on their phone next to me, so I don't go to the cinema. But if I did, it would cost me a fair bit of money. You know, you've got the actual whatever it costs to get in a cinema nowadays. I haven't been for so long, I haven't got a clue. I don't know, 12, 15 quid, 20 quid, I haven't got a clue. Anyway, plus you've got the getting there and the getting back. And then you've got the I'm at the cinema, therefore I must have. Like, you know, now for you that might be popcorn, because you don't have it at home. Like, I'm going to have a bucket of something. You have sweets in a bucket. When did that start? Anyway. So your overall costs for watching a film in a cinema, in not necessarily the most comfy seat, but you have got the big screen and the lovely surround sound. So, so you paid your money. What do you come home with? Nothing, apart from the memory of the film. So is that good value? Not as far as spending money and getting something in return is concerned, but what did you get? You got entertainment, didn't you? Now that's part of the whole YouTube thing, isn't it? Entertainment. So I mean, I'm not going to start singing and dancing and telling jokes. You know, it's not that sort of entertainment. But it's entertainment in some people's eyes that they stay because perhaps they're interested in what's going to happen next. And with me, sometimes you never know. What do you mean he's making it up as he goes along? I am. Perhaps that's why some people stick around. It's not scripted. It's not formal, orderly. I don't work like that. My life isn't like that. I'm certainly not going to run my channel like that. So when you start talking about value, you have to start talking about income. I don't do this for the income. The income I get from it is nice to have. It's that way round. If I was truly interested in the income, I would fine-tune my channel to get as much as I could out of it financially. That could lose me for some viewers straight away. Because some of the sorts of things, you know, the YouTube people and others, some people make a living and making YouTube videos on how to make YouTube videos. And there's some big channels doing that sort of thing. Have you got any guarantee they're right? Well, their channel's big, so it's worked for them, hasn't it? But their subject matter, yeah, and sometimes a channel's progress, rapid or otherwise, is the subject matter. Our community, the subject matter is all around me. It's the orchids, isn't it? And how we grow them, how we look after them. So if you're going to get a channel going, an orchid channel, you're going to need some orchids, aren't you? Unless you work in a nursery and you can borrow theirs. That would be good, wouldn't it? And then you can just pick up your lunchbox and wander home and let somebody else look after them. Just use them for filming. So why do people stay with a channel? There must be many and varied reasons. Feel at liberty to say why. It won't change me, I don't think. As I said, the people who've left, if I can find out why they did that, that might be more interesting. But then you've got the others. How do people arrive? Well, there's word of mouth, I suppose, or word of typey. You know, it's the thing with YouTube. You don't tend to actually see the people for real, so you don't actually. We're not supposed to be meeting up anyway at the moment. But you know, you interact with comments, or you start emailing people. You become online friendly people. Yeah, in groups. Sometimes those groups can get quite large. Or again, common interest, and friends may get recommended. Go and take a look at so and so. I mean, I've been asked to do that. Go and have a look at so and so. See what you think. So, but the other way people arrive is just the searches. You know, and I was very sloppy about my video titles for quite a while. They were just made up, spur of the moment. Not a lot of thought goes into them. And quite a few people said, and a lot of the online tutorials actually said, your title's important because it's what hits the searches. It's what YouTube is going to come in on. And, you know, so if you've done a little bit of a feature on a particular orchid, get it in the title. That's a two-way process. Because yes, that means people who are specifically looking for information about that orchid will find you. And they may stay. But what about all the people who watch regularly that are not particularly interested in that orchid? Are they going to skip that one? I mean, there are a few orchids in here that other people might not have. People might still be generally interested. But you know, if I did a spotlight on Dendrobium senile, there's going to be a lot of people that can't grow that. So they wouldn't be interested in that video, would they? So they give it a miss. Skip one. See what happens next, that sort of thing. So, making your title too precise might be a bit over the top. Now, if I said I'm going to do a general purpose guide to growing dendrobiums, most people have got at least one, even if it's just a nobly hybrid. It still needs looking after. And a few little fine-tuning tips might be incredibly useful to some people. If it's your first one and you've just been given it and you're scratching your head, it could be incredibly useful. So those sort of things, getting those sort of expressions into the titles are good. And I've seen those work for me. So took on board a bit of information from others that worked. It hasn't all worked though. So next thing is, do you need a big collection of orchids? Well, without it, it's going to get a bit samey and repetitious, isn't it? If I had 10 Phalaenopsis, I could still make videos, but how much care and looking after and guidance can you give on a single genus? Now, if that was 10 individual hybrids, there could, species, there could be quite a variety of difference in their care. Not all the species Phalaenopsis are the same. Some of them are cool growers for a start, and some of them go up the beyond the warm into the hot category. Some of them grow at elevation, some get a lot more light than others. Some need to be constantly damp. So if you were into the species Phalaenopsis, you could be able to do and say an awful lot more. There's a limit, I don't know how many, I think it's about 30 something Phalaenopsis species. But of course, as soon as you get into the hybrids, it goes on forever. And forever it will go on. Single most popular houseplant, Phalaenopsis orchid. And many are bought, admired, thought of as a wonderful thing, and the flowers fall off and they go in the bin. And some people think, actually that was good, those blooms lasted, I think I'll get another one of them. And then it starts, the slippery slope. Yeah. But I generalise out here, and apart from a couple of oddities that I might only have one of, possibly because it was a gift, there is a general purpose theme. Dendrobiums, quite a lot, more than anything else. Oncidium alliance, quite a lot. Cattleya alliance, quite a lot. Those three are the majority of what's out here. Everything else is just a few, one or two, or just a few. Especially if you put the Tolumnias back into the Oncidium alliance and not keep them separate. So yeah, there's some others, but you know, I mean, I'm just scanning around. Okay, I've got two Vandas. I've now got some Renantheras, Vandaceous types. I've got this Africana thing up here, one off. I've got a few Masdevallias and Draculas, not a lot. They don't do so well for me. A couple of Restrepias. Coming round here, you know, you start thinking, well, there's that. Oh, that's Oncidium alliance. Oh, I got my Miltoniopsis, Oncidium alliance. Yeah. Coming round here, more Dendrobiums, more Oncidiums, more Cattleyas, Tolumnias, Psychopsis, technically Oncidium alliance. Coming on round, oh, we've got a couple of Paphiopedilums. I can't exactly do lots of videos about those. I've only got 3, and they don't do a lot. That's how they are. So if you're going to have a predominantly Paphiopedilum, frags and things like that, you're going to need quite a lot, because they don't move very quickly. And then, you know, it's it. A couple of Coelogenies. So it's not a huge variety. It's quite a large number though. I think I'm about 170 odd. But bearing in mind at one point it was 250. So, oh, there's something I must move as well. Oh. Sun's catching that spike. So you can come down there. Opening now, very nice, but it's everything in bloom on the 8th tomorrow, so we're not looking at blooms today. What we will look at is, what are those doing there, I hear you ask? Apart from where they were before, they were getting a little bit too much light. And as a consequence of that, when I took it from where it lived to water it, I thought I'll put it back somewhere else. And I caught the 2 leaves on the edge of a shelf. That's that growth lost now. That's a year's growth lost through carelessness. And that was Cattleya leopoldii. Never mind, it will push out another new growth, and it will probably carry on as though nothing's happened and still produce its new root system, and then yet another growth. I don't know whether that's the sort of damage that would register and possibly shoot out the side somewhere. I doubt it somehow. And having lost its 2 leaves, I can't imagine that it's going to attempt to bloom off of that. This is just the bract, the sheath. So accidents happen. but sometimes relatively they can be quite catastrophic. That's a year's worth of growth lost. And not long after that, because these leaves were almost mature, you know, if you look at the size they're supposed to get, they were on the way, yeah? But they're very soft because they were new. You know, so that would have been in bloom possibly in a couple of months. I doubt if it will now. And then we've got to start again. And often with the Cattleya species, you very rarely get more than one direction of growth. That's how they are. Some of them are more vigorous than that, but not all. Bifoliates tend to be a bit slower, but not always. You can't generalise like that. So, yeah, bit of a disaster. That's what I call a bit of a disaster as well. Breaking off a bloom spike is bad enough, because on some plants that could also be a year before you get another one. But it doesn't stop the plant growing or performing as it should do, losing the blooms. Sometimes it speeds up some of the progress. Yeah, so why do people hang around this channel? Especially as a lot of it is like, this type of stuff is waffle. But the one thing I can almost guarantee is you're probably not going to know what comes next. You don't get like a list or anything like that. But then with the project plants you do, they're popular. My Everything in Bloom on the 8th, the Sunday chats, and the viewers' question time, which is a relatively new thing, they're popular. So they're up the higher number of views end. Things that are not so popular, waffling on about pH meters and stuff like that, are not as popular, but they could still form a use. If somebody was thinking of getting a pH meter, it might be nice to have somewhere to go and see one being set up. Yeah? Now those that have already seen that don't want to see it again, do they? So the views might be low, but then we come back to the value. Those that have watched it because they need that information, the video is of value to them, so they might stay around to see what else is of value to them. Little snippets of information along the way. What some people call the aha moment. I didn't know that, but I do now. Thank you. Yeah, little snippet type bits of information. And those just pop out of my gob whenever I think of them. They're not planned, a lot of those, they just pop out. And they're things I've heard from other people, things I've found out the hard way in some cases. So I think if I did a lot more spotlight videos or specific care type videos, I know the few that I've done, I've watched them back after a period of time now and again and thought, you forgot to say that. You forgot to say that. Ah, you didn't even say that. And I sort of think, well, what was the point of that flipping video then? You've missed out some good stuff. So, you know, it takes your chances, takes your choice, I suppose. So, right, I have got to do a write-up for Dendrobium senile to go in this newsletter thing, which I will do. And yeah, when you're watering and pushing stuff around and shoving, try not to be in a hurry, because part of why that Cattleya got damaged was I wanted to do something else and I wanted to get it done before something else and then before it got dark, or before I wanted my tea basically. So I was hurrying a bit. Consequences, years worth of growth lost off a nice Cattleya species. Gone now, and a bit of an annoyance. Where is it? Well, there's only 4 in here. Come on, you can't hide. Where did I put them all? I can see 3. Well, it's one of these 3 up here. So I'll take them down one at a time. My Renantheras. Right, it's not that one. That one's fine. There's one I can't see at the moment. Let me see 3. There's another one in here somewhere. There are 4. I know there are. I just wanted to get a specific one down. Yeah, it's this one. This one was the cross with the Vanda that arrived with a very dodgy looking crown that had some black in it. Well, a leaf that was coming out of that crown, the top leaf, yeah, has gone yellow and dropped off. So at the moment, as far as I know, there is now no growth point at the top of this plant. Now that's annoying because it arrived like that. I didn't do that. That arrived like that. Wasn't exactly a cheap plant. But as a consequence, this plant can now not grow. So how many years off blooming is this going to be now without a growth point at the top on a monopodial? To get any new growth on that, it's now going to have to produce a side shoot, a keiki. Otherwise it's just going to sit there and do nothing. But on the grounds of sitting there and doing nothing, I'm not sure I can get this on shot. Right. Here, hang on, where's my camera? So the trouble is it goes dark, because as I come towards the camera, I come out of the light into the shade. I might brighten this bit up then. On the end of my finger there is a new root. You can tell it's a new root because it's got a green tip and it's white behind. Underneath this leaf is another shoot that seriously does not look like a root, and even if it was debatable, on this type of plant you don't very often get two roots come out from the same joint, and this joint has already got a root even though it's not growing. So there's something that could be a flower spike. If that was a new growth, I'd be over the moon, because this plant is lost. So, you know, whatever reason that crown failed happened before I got it. I've now got a non-growing Renanthera, and that's the one that was story-eye crossed with the Vanda Denisoniana that could have had spectacular blooms, but it's not growing and it can't grow now. It can't actually grow. It's lost that growing tip. So I'm not quite sure what will happen with that now. I'll keep it, water it, feed it, do all the stuff, and hopefully it will kick out sideways. How long it will take before it does that, I don't know. But that is now an awful long way behind the others because it's lost its growing point. Now again, that's not my fault. That was like that when I got it. It wasn't as bad, but those sort of things don't tend to get better, do they? They get worse. Also, my Naeviem, the fact that that got quite close to the camera the other day, my friend who spotted all of my Oncidiums were far too pale and therefore getting a lot too much light, came back with exactly the same comment. Those leaves are far too pale, Roger, that's getting too much light. And I said that most of the leaves you can see are last year's. So yes, accepted, they did get too much light. The newer growths are a deeper green, they're looking better. But he also said, what level do you feed at? Because it looks a bit undernourished. Well, it did have a bit of a setback because it got repotted last year and objected and dumped some roots. It's grown some more, it's got a reasonable root system now. But he suggested I start feeding higher, especially during the growing season. And again, so I did a bit of work, did a bit of looking up. And when you're on about feed levels, do you go to people who've got private collections and wonder where they got their information from? Did they make it up? Is it just how it is and it seems to be okay? Or do you go to the commercial growers that do it for a living and see what levels they sort of feed at? Also, when you start thinking about going down that road, you've got a job to get the information out of them. You don't like giving it up. But nonetheless, some of those have been obliging in the past, so I dug out some old information and this, that and the other. And I've always said I feed low and frequently. Well, how low is too low? So given the difference between 200 parts per million and 250 is not huge, I'm bumping my feed up for the rest of the growing season. And I'll keep my eye out, because things like the mounts, where you've got a lot of exposed roots and things, there could come a point where you start getting root burn. Unlikely to happen in a pot so much, but can still happen. And first sign of overcooking on the roots front and starting to get root burn is normally the tips. Tips go brown. They can do that for other reasons too, but we're not doing that today. Okay, so yeah, it will be interesting to know. I know there are lots of people watch that don't comment very often. Otherwise, my number of comments would equal my number of views for the video, wouldn't it? And when I started at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'd still be doing my comments at lunchtime. So I'm happy with the comments I get. I can cope with them. I could cope with quite a few more. You know, that time in the morning is free time. I don't use it for anything else. Unless I'm off on a journey somewhere and I want to get off at the crack of dawn. We're certainly not doing much of that at the moment, are we? So yeah, I'm happy. More comments, great. I mean, some people just put, great video, thanks. It's a comment and they've bothered. They'll get a response. Yeah. Others write an essay. Takes me 15 minutes with a coffee break to read it all. Takes all sorts at the end of the day. And I'm grateful for anybody who stays with the channel and sticks with it and leaves me comments. And I'm also grateful for those who never leave a comment but still watch. And that's the majority. I'm getting an average of 1,000 views, which I said is starting to creep up a bit. And perhaps I get 30 comments. Well, that means most people aren't leaving a comment. There are the regulars, you know. So it's good. I'm happy with the way it's working. But one thing I did work out, a couple of months ago actually, I was obviously in my analytics that you lot can't see. I get a rolling 28-day set of analytics that moves along each day, creeps forward one day at a time and covers a period of 28 days. And in there it shows how many new subscribers you've got. And that rate, because obviously that is a rate, although it's a fixed number, it's a rate because it's rolling. Each day it moves forward. The rate of growth over the last couple of months is climbing. So a while back what I did was I need this 10,000 subscribers. I've got this many, that many from 10,000 equals this many, divided by the average climb in the 28-day period equals the number of 28-day periods it's going to take to get to 10,000. And I estimated about Christmas. Well, the rate of increase is going up slightly. I did that calculation again this morning, and it could be a birthday present instead of a Christmas present. We could be looking at around October time. But that doesn't mean to say that rate of climb is going to stay there. It could drop off. Equally, you know, it's difficult to work out where the new subscribers come from. I would imagine the majority of new subscribers have come from the results of a search. And they may have subscribed for the one video that they came to see and never come back again. That's why subscribers are a funny thing on YouTube, as opposed to views, which is real. Those are real people that have watched that video. They might not have watched it all. They might have gone 2 minutes, skip to 10 minutes, skip to 20 minutes and wash out the end. I've got no way of telling. But they've arrived and seen some of the video. They're real. Yeah, subscribers are not quite as real, you know what I mean. So yeah, that's today done. And I wanted to get this filmed before I start work out here today. I've realised that what was once my Sunday morning chat was always going to be in the afternoon, at least for, depending on the time zone, but people around my time zone, was always going to be in the afternoon. So I've taken the morning out. It's now Sunday chat. And I think that, I don't know whether it was the last one I did or the one before, and somebody said, it's already Monday here, Roger, because if I do it later in the afternoon, then I've got to process it, and sometimes tea will get in the way, so it doesn't actually get posted till the evening, my evening. It's already Monday here, Roger. So I'm going to try and do them a bit earlier in the day, so that for most people, the video does actually arrive on the Sunday, and not Monday. So that's that. Everything in bloom tomorrow. Don't know what sort of weather we're going to get, but it always pays to have reasonable light to film the blooms, because then I don't have to worry about going out of focus and everything. So we'll see what we can do for that. There is a reasonable amount in here, quite honestly. Not bad. A few new things. A few things have gone since last time. But Anyway, we'll do that tomorrow. And for all you people who stick with this channel and carry on watching my videos, it's a big thank you. We will have a big giveaway when I get to 10k subs. I haven't worked out what it's going to be yet, because I think there's a little bit of time going to be needed to get there. But yeah, you've done it again, haven't you? You've had all day to fly that plane across. I wonder if it's the same bloke. I wonder if he's circling out of the Isle of Wight and he's got inside information with walkie-talkies. He started his video, coming. It seems odd that there's so few planes at the moment, and I get one nearly every time. Yeah, so thank you for people who stay with it. And as always, if you've got something you think would make a good video, bearing in mind what I've got out here and what here is, yeah, just ask. You know, worst that can happen is you don't get your video, but at least you tried. And most of the time, another thing I do is there is repetition on YouTube, obviously, but if I go back 2 years, how many people, well, we know some, but from 2 years ago to now, there's going to be a lot of new people that have joined. So a few specific types of videos that I did 2 or 3 years ago could be repeated successfully now and refresh that information. So that's an idea for me to backtrack and go and have a look at the titles and a few things that I did a few years ago and think, God, I haven't done that for a couple of years. We could do that again. Yeah, so. But I'm always open to ideas. You know, so we'll see where we go. Anyway, thanks for dropping by. It's my daughter's birthday today, so she won't be watching, but happy birthday, Hannah. And this is the first birthday where we haven't met up. It seems odd. Next weekend we should have been off to Malvern. Night in a hotel, big show, meal out with the crew, all off, you know, all gone. Yeah, it's times are funny, times are strange at the moment, and things that you just accept as being normal can't be. And normally Hannah would be down for a weekend close to her birthday, not necessarily the one with her birthday in it, but like the one before or the one after, or, you know, often birthdays are in the middle of the week, aren't they? And we'd have some special food, you know, and spend some quality time and everything. So not this year. Can't do it. That's how it has to be. And it is a bit disappointing, but still, that's how it has to be. So, yeah, YouTube stuff and recognition of people who like my channel and stay here and stick with it and put ideas in for me, yeah, and then see them actually happen, and hopefully they are what they asked for. And it's appreciated both ways, the ideas and, you know, the fact that you can actually ask for and get a video. So that may be part of it as well. But anyway, for whatever reason, if you've got specific reasons, let me know what they are. I said the reasons I really would like to know is why people have gone. I mean, there's some channels that they've got great content, but there's just, I don't know, something about them that just puts me off. Sometimes you can't even put it in words. And that's that channel. There's not a lot can be done about it. Everybody does their own thing on YouTube. They are mainly themselves. Some put on a few airs and graces, but not many. Most people just are themselves. This is me, this is my orchids, these are my pets, this is my garden. You know, and that's all it is. But some just seem a lot more popular than others. I've got no idea why. But for whatever reason, for those that are here and those that are still here, because I've been going on a bit again, thank you. Big thank you. When we get to 10k, we'll do some rewards back in your direction. Okay. See you next time. Bye for now.